I want you to listen to this.
Be her colleague.
He's running to be her colleague. Does he think his colleague did well? Future colleague did well here? He's going to have to navigate a lot of very tricky issues here in Washington. Being a senator, is he going to vote for Chuck Schumer for leadership? How is he going to handle himself? Obviously, you've got a lot of Democrats which are very angry. He's running in this primary system right now. But once you get to the big leagues, how are you going to handle the John Fettermans, the Alyssa Slotkins, and all that in the world? So we got some good questions for him. All right. So before we get to that, though, thank you everybody to our premium subscribers. Which let's start off with a deep apology for yesterday. So the team has fully informed us and we've gotten to the bottom of it. Here's basically the TLDR. Our premium show did not go out when it was supposed to. We're deeply sorry about that. Basically, Locals and Rumble servers, it appears melted yesterday, and our email was not going out properly, despite the fact that our show was ready mostly on time, even though it was like a 2.5 hour or whatever type show. We are going to change some things about the way that we provide notification in the event of a late show or a technical malfunction. So we're very, very sorry to all of our premium subscribers. Just please do know that you guys are always at the top of our thoughts, and we apologize for the way that it all rolled out. And I guess that's a good segue of why you should support premium, right? Because it'll be better. It'll be better. We promise it'll be better. I don't know what to say. Breakingpoints.com. If you could support us, just know that we're working on it. It's a small team here, and we are always at the mercy of these bigger companies and their servers. Some days it's Locals or Rumble. A lot of times it's YouTube as well. Spotify has been dragging their ass in terms of getting our stuff up on their RSS feed. I mean, we're trying our best. We're dealing with gigabyte files and all this. The show has to be delivered to all these different places. So the technical people in our audience will understand, but we're trying our best. I promise you, breakingpoints.com if you're able to help us out. But with that, let's get with the disaster relief funding. So let's go ahead and put this up there on the screen. Absolute major outcry yesterday after the Trump administration put out a FEMA guidance. And let me just keep this up here while I'm talking, just to explain how absolutely crazy this is. So FEMA put out a guidance, Ryan, to all states who want to accept disaster relief grants, which,
all of them.
I would say all of them. And, even the libertarians would be like, all right,
our tax money.
The federal government, the federal government doesn't have a lot of roles. We could all probably say disaster relief, broadly one of those.
Although Trump for like 5 minutes was like, FEMA's not going to do anything anymore.
Right. So, but I'm saying,
first disaster.
If you were to ask most people what the role of federal government is, it's like, hey, if you get hit by a hurricane, they're going to come in and help you. We all pay into the system. System helps us out whenever that happens. Well, the Trump administration slipped in this exact language into these FEMA grants. And I'm going to read directly, just so you all understand how absolutely crazy it is. It says that by accepting, recipients will comply with all applicable federal anti-discrimination laws material to the government's payment decisions for purposes of 31 U.S.C. 372b4. Quote, definitions as used in this clause. DEI means diversity, equity, inclusion. DEIA means diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility. Discriminatory equity ideology has a meaning set forth, and they talk about an executive order. So far, they're saying you can't have DEI policies on the books if you want to this disaster relief funding. Okay, I'm totally fine with that. But then subpart D says here, quote, discriminatory prohibited boycott means refusing to deal, cutting commercial relations, or otherwise limiting commercial relations, specifically with Israeli companies or with companies doing business in or with Israel, or authorized by, licensed by, or organized under the laws of Israel to do business. So let's underscore that, is that the Trump administration was telling states, if you allow the boycott of Israel, if you allow the boycott of Israeli companies, if you allow the boycott of companies doing business with Israel, you as a United States citizen and as a state will be barred from your tax dollars from getting disaster relief funding. Now, this was, Ryan, I think just too much for everybody involved. And so what ensued was a fascinating about face, which is not really an about face, which takes us to the next one. Let's put that up there on the screen. Shortly after, many of us basically had outcry about this, drew attention. The Trump administration removed that exact language about discriminatory boycotts against the state of Israel. I have the original and the new, by the way.
Do we have Rufo here?
Yeah, well, I didn't originally have it in, but people like Christopher Rufo, who's a anti-DEI
He quote tweeted yours.
That's right. He was like, hey, even this is not good. And Ryan, I just want your reaction here now, because they've come full circle. Even though they did remove this anti-discriminatory language about the state of Israel. Put the next one up here on the screen, just so I can very clearly explain. The DHS put out this statement, quote, there is no FEMA requirement tied to Israel in any current, guidance. No states have lost funding, no new conditions have been imposed. FEMA grants remain governed by existing law and policy and not political litmus tests. Quote, DHS will enforce all anti-discrimination laws and policies, including as it relates to the BDS movement, which is expressly grounded in anti-Semitism. So my explanation, based on my reporting, talking with many of the people involved, is that after the outcry, they removed the specific language about Israel. But the DHS statement makes it clear they reserve the right to deny you your federal funding should you engage in BDS. And I mean, Ryan, I
and
genuinely...
look at the last line there.
Yeah.
Those who engage in racial discrimination should not receive a single dollar of federal funding. That sounds like Biden.
I mean, in actual racial discrimination, sure. If it's about BDS, no. And obviously that's why the languages matter. And that's why, Ryan, I just think this is such...
It's not racial discrimination.
I know that. You and I know that, all right? These terms all used to mean things and they don't anymore. But Ryan, this is just such a dramatic outrage to say that they would withhold federal funding based upon boycotting the state of Israel to any state. And, the fact is that, look, yeah, it's great. They removed the language. The fact it was in the first place is insane. And then the fact that the DHS basically put out a statement saying we reserve the right to do so if we would like to, shows us that the policy effectively remains in effect today. It's preposterous. It's un-American.
It's the exact same policy because the states have been put on notice by that DHS statement that they put out on Twitter there, that they believe that the law as it's written gives them the right to withhold aid money from any state that involves itself in a boycott of Israeli companies.
And not even involves itself, allows its state's residents to engage in boycotts.
Right, and so are they saying that, and we can put these up next if we want, the list of states, there's more than 30 states across the country have laws on the books that say that if you want to do any business with that state whatsoever, which means like, a lot of contractors that may work for a private company that itself does some other contracting with the state, set aside being a teacher or some other obvious state employee, that if you participate in BDS, you can't participate in any in this work in your own society, that you pledge that you will never boycott, which then the line in there that says you won't even limit your. So what if you're like, well, I was going to do 10 orders of hummus for this party, but I think I might only need 5. And they're like, wait a minute. Now, do you really only need 5, or are you limiting your purchase of hummus?
Well, what's preposterous about it is that it includes Israeli companies doing business with Israel. As you said, what is the state going to come in and be like, you're not doing enough business with Israel?
Do more
you need
business
to do
with
more
Israel.
business with Israel?
Yeah.
Who's telling me that as a private business, who or what I can do business with whatever I want? Also, we'll all recall that conservatives gleefully supported the boycott of Bud Light. Great. Okay.
Yeah, you should be able to.
Yeah, as you should be able to. Or Ben and Jerry's said that they don't want to do. Fine, whatever. You don't want to buy Ben and Jerry's ice cream. Be my fucking guest. All right. Same. I could go on forever. The conservatives they went after Target. Right. All right. Fine. Don't shop at Target. That's okay.
And then
don't shop at any of these places.
It's very interesting how MAGA have said to MIGA. That is, instead of making America great, it's now make Israel great. Why do I say this? Just imagine a situation where your government forces you and tells you that if you abandon our foreign friend or ally state, it's a crime. That is, if you join BDS movement against Israel, your state government will be denied funds for emergencies. What does this mean? It means one thing, that American government would rather let Americans die due to emergencies than allow you to punish Israel for G crimes. You know what I mean G. I don't mean it's because I'm trying to avoid this mentioning this thing because of the YouTube thing. My question is, if you're American first, why are you so concerned about Israeli citizens than the Americans? You know, it's very funny that when we say that this government is controlled by Zionists, it's clear. Because how do you elect a president who cares more about Israeli citizens than the citizens who elected him? That's why he can say that I would rather allow Americans to die due to natural emergency. We had fire, we had floods another day, and that is not a big issue. Americans can die, but you can never risk to punish an Israeli citizen. This is the government we have been electing. And there's a reason why I oppose democracies. Because democracies are a very useless form of government. Why? Because whoever funds these politicians for when they are buying these seats owns them. Today, Americans voted for politicians to represent them. But who funded them? AIPAC. AIPAC owns the president and all the congressmen. It's not accidental. It's a choice people have made. There's a reason why democracy is sold through war. It's because it's a bad government system. Leadership cannot be about popularity. It cannot be about who has a lot of money to give bribes. Leadership should be installed and trained and one observed for many years. There's a reason why China is doing so well, because it's not about how much money you have. No billionaire can go against the will of the people. But in a capitalistic democracies, the big guys, the rich, owns the politicians, owns the government, and a billionaire can do anything and nothing will happen. Today, we have peace who are mentioned in Epstein scandal. Nothing is happening. Why do you think it's not happening? Nothing is happening. Because these billionaires who are at peace have a lot of money and have paid a lot of guys and funded a lot of campaigns, and they cannot go to jail. Because in democracies, the poor will always go to jail, but billionaires will never go to jail. In China, which operates at the African socialism system, which says that no matter how rich you are, the country comes first. The will of majority comes first. That's why you see in China billionaires being jailed, because the government there does not allow billionaires to do a crime and let it go. No, this will happen in America. Very bad system. You have a president, you have a government that cares about Israel more than American citizens, and you voted them in the notion that they are to make America great again. But now they care more about Israeli citizens. That is the thing. What is your take? Let me know in the comment section. I'm your host, James. Let's meet in the next video.